Hi, welcome back to the channel. This is Parthib from SingleDigit. If you find our videos helpful, then make sure to subscribe and click the like button. If you have any doubts whatsoever, feel free to reach out to us through Telegram. We are always more than happy to help you out. Alright, that's enough introduction. Let's begin the video. Today we're going to be discussing something that a lot of aspirants ask me, which is that can I prepare for IPMAT Indore in 2 months? Now, the answer to that, a little annoyingly, is that it depends. Now, I know you hear that a lot, right? That it depends. I'm going to be trying my best to explain it to as much detail and depth as possible so that you are able to better understand where you stand and how much time you need to prepare, right? So before we begin, let's establish something, which is that IPMAT Indore is an extremely competitive exam, right? 30,000 people sit for the exam, only about 150 students finally make it. So it's by no means easy, it is extraordinarily difficult, and you should not underestimate this challenge. So you can already see where this is going. Yeah, 2 months is not enough for most people. It is very, very far from enough. For most people, what you need is a minimum of 1.5 to 2 years to prepare. Now, I'll be talking about that in more detail. For something like IPMAT Indore, what you need are both specific skills and general skills. What are these? Let's talk about specific skills and I'll give a few examples. Let's say you are preparing for your history exam for your board exams, right? Now, you would be reading the textbook, you would be trying to find out as much as you can, let's say about the French Revolution, if that's in your syllabus. You're going to be finding out as much as you can about King Louis, as much as possible about Napoleon, all of that. Without that, you can't really attempt the exam because the exam requires those specific skills, right? It requires a specific knowledge about French Revolution, about the time period, about the people. Without that, you can't attempt the history paper. Without knowing about Ohm's law, you cannot attempt your physics paper, right? So similarly, without knowing a little bit about permutation, combination, number theory, coordinate geometry, all of those things, I'm not going to list them, you can't attempt IPMAT Indore, right? And how much time does it take to prepare those things, the specific skills? Not much. If you have general skills, which I'll be explaining, it does not take more than a few months to get up to date on the IPMAT syllabus, right? Getting up to date on the specific topics of math that are tested in the exam. However, that is, as I said, assuming that you are already very strong at the general skills that are tested through the exam. Now, what are those general skills? I think it is best explained through the example of English, right? English is something that most people can do to some degree, right? Most people can read, understand a passage, understand what is going on, maybe even summarize it. But the degree of competence with which you can do that varies, right? There are very few people who can prepare for just 2 months for, let's say, the verbal section of IPMAT Indore and hope to ace it, right? That's because English, the skills required for English are skills that can be only developed over the long term. So who can just get away with a few months of preparation? These are people who have actually been preparing for it without knowing all their life. These are people who have been reading voraciously since childhood. Right? I myself was fortunate enough to study in a school where we were encouraged to read a lot from a young age. So as a result, I and my friends, we didn't really have to worry too much about the English section. Most of our preparation went for math, right? And there are a lot of people like that, a lot of people who have been reading since a young age, people who even have started reading in the past few years. These are people who have very strong English skills. They don't need to so much worry about the general skills part of the exam. They just maybe need to do a few mock papers, get comfortable with the pattern, that sort of thing. That does not take time, right? So if you're one of those people who is actually very good at English, can do reasonably well at any English exam, then in order to do extraordinarily well in a specific exam like IPMAT Indore, you just need to give it a few months of preparation. But the fact is, unfortunately, that most people haven't had that kind of opportunity. Right? Most people haven't been encouraged to read from that sort of young age, and most people can't cannot just get away with a few months of preparation. These people, and these are almost 99.5% of people, they need to give it at least 1.5 2 years of preparation, right? You need to start reading as much as you can from as early as you can. That's the best way to improve, just exposing yourself to the language. That is really the only way to make sure that you are actually good enough to ace the exam. Same goes for maths, like identically the same thing. If you have been exposed to maths since a young age, let's say you have had a really good teacher in your high school, that actually goes a long way to ensuring how good your general skills in math are, right? If you have had a fun teacher who made your classroom fun, who made sure that you understood sums from a first principles level rather than just memorizing formulas, these fortunate people again can get away with a few months of preparation. Most people unfortunately can't. Most people, for at least 1.5 2 years, I cannot repeat this enough, they need to practice a lot. They need to expose themselves now to those variety of sums. They need to practice the ability to approach problems from a first principles perspective, be creative in their solutions, all of those things. If you can do that for at least 15, 18, 20 months, 24 months, then yeah, you have a very good chance. Now, obviously that takes time and it cannot be done in 2 months, right? So you need to now understand where you stand. You need to understand how good your general skills are. And depending on that, how much time you need to prepare. Because if you need to prepare for general skills, it's going to take time. There's no shortcut. There's no easy way around that. You have to give it all the time that you can. If you believe your general skills are good, and I will repeat this again, most people do not have that ability. So make sure you're very, very confident about that if you think so. If your general skills are good, few months is enough. All right, with that, I'm going to end the video. I hope I was able to explain this clearly. If you're still confused about anything, feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to reach out to me through Telegram. We are always open to helping you out. All right, best of luck for your journey ahead and stay motivated.